Ayo, little man, what's going on, everyone? Nick here from Little Man YGO, back at again with another video, and this time we are going over 7 different ways to play Amaryllis in 2025. So I'm really excited to make this video because there's a lot of deck lists that I have that are stowed in the back of my dueling book, and I figured to kick off 2025. Let's show you 7 that I think that are different in their own way, because the deck could be built many different ways, as well as showing the power from playing a game with each of those. So you're going to see 7 games. You're also going to see 7 deck lists. So before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe for more Amaryllis related content. If you want the deck list links, they're going to be in the description below. So to kick things off with the first deck list you see here is a Volcanic counter base list. Now, Volcanic counter has fallen off a little bit. It did get second at YCS Sydney Ultimate Time Wizard in 2024. But this is definitely before the fertilizer technology kind of came into play. However, I still think the volcanic counters are definitely not a dead concept. You just got to build the deck a little bit differently. And I think that pairing it with Graveros and then the Cyber Valleys are obviously the best way to go. I traditionally think Cyber Valley is just not a great card in this deck, in Amaryllis in general. But what makes it different in this deck is that you also are playing DDR. So you can discard these brick cards out of your hand, get this back, banish, draw 2, and it's also a 0 statted monster, so that when you have to go and crash, you'll be able to get some damage off of a volcanic counter, which is, one of the worst things about Cyber Valley is the fact that it cannot deal damage on its own, but volcanic counter kind of helps that out a lot. So the deck really is like built very interestingly in that regard, that we don't see any light swarm monsters, we don't see anything of that kind. So we're gonna go over a replay real quickly just to kind of go over see what it looks like. Um, Now the big thing to keep in mind here is that when you are ultimately playing this deck, is that obviously you are also playing the volcanic counter. And volcanic counter unfortunately is a mandatory card, right? So you obviously just cannot banish it at any cost. It has Doom Caliber Knight syndrome, where it would have been a lot better if it didn't have that stipulation attached to it. But here we are today. Also, the fact that Graveros could also send Volcanic Counter to the graveyard is very, very good. It also helps out with the Cyber Valleys a little bit, because you could send Dandelion, get tokens, normal summon Cyber Valley, banish, draw a bunch of cards, etc. Um, but as we see here, the the fertilizers is still like one of the best parts about the deck. I still think you 100% have to play and go down that direction. I don't care what anyone says, but yeah. Obviously here, Morphing Jar, very high impact card. We also drew Burial too. I mean, there's no way that you're getting out of this without actually like winning the game. But and the fact of the matter is that like everyone's still cutting Morphing Jar out of their main deck. I'm not entirely sure why. They'll play cards like Cyber Valley, and then because they draw 2 cards, but God forbid you have to set a card to draw 5, which in my opinion is a little bit more worth it. But obviously we're seeing the strength here of DDR. Discard, it turns into D draw at this point, which is very nice. Our opponent did not understand that DDR is an equipped spell, so it does fall off. Um, but this game should be ours. We have all of these hidden armories in our hand. We got Return in hand. We got T-Roar in hand. T-Roar's been a very nice card because you could block out the little damage, or the damage that you could potentially be getting through um, Volcanic Counter. You want to really maximize the damage output on that card. Um, and yeah, like we're partying right now. So 28, whatever, deep prison again, let it go. And yeah, we have the T-Roar. So nice push, dude. Nice push. But obviously, we come back from this. We put the Titanial down. There's no way he's winning this game. It's already written in the cards. Um, but I believe that Volcanic Counter does have a finish here. Because I know that you cannot see the screen, but he's at 4,200 life. So he goes and sets a dust shoot, sees nothing, and then ultimately sees that passing, and then it's over. It's over. There's 2 counters in graveyard that got there through Morphing Jar. Um, It doesn't show off the grabber roses, but again, still a pretty cool list at the end of the day. And the game gets sewed up, it gets taken care of right there. So next deck list we have here is the Draw Trap Amarillo. So this one is the exact deck list that what is this gentleman's name? Italian fella, the Italians, Mago Polito, put into the Amaryllis Discord, and I was addicted immediately because I saw Reckless Greed. I've been trying to play with this card in this deck for quite some time, taking off all the millers and just going straight for draw cards. So again, you can see this list in the description below, so you can try it out for yourself. You can see whether this is a list that's for you or not. But the nice thing about this is that you could have your opponent um, like you could bluff a lot easier because you do have the draw traps. You get to actually also get to see a little bit more of your deck too, which again is also nice. We open the level 8 hand, that you cannot avoid this hand, doesn't matter what version of Amaryllis you are playing, you are going to definitely draw hands that are like this. Um, but we see our friend Morphing Jar. We Lightning Vortex to get rid of the thing, so it's not as inconspicuous. And then he Spine Guildsman, Phoenix Wing, take care of the Guildman so he could withdraw that. But obviously we can't fully bluff the Jar here. Jar, once again, making its showing off why it's such a deadly card in this deck. We took care of a whole ton of Miracle Fusions in this hand too. So we know that Gilman's in the hand too. So we know that one card in his hand is absolutely garbage. We know that one card is Battle Ox. We go for Dandelion here to set up our fertilizers. We also have Starlight Road to protect us against Heavy Storm, Torrential, and Mirror Force, and BRD if he's able to get to it. Um, but this is, I think, the turn in which we're going to pop off the hardest. Um, Double fertilizer in hand. We've no reason to lose this game per se, but we hit an armory, mill the valley. We're going to get back. Lone Fire. Lone Fire is going to pop off. And that's the thing that I like most about um, DDR in general is that you could reset your plant count in your graveyard. So you're putting the Lone Fire back in the graveyard. So Amaryllis has a little bit more fuel. But this is Mega Dead Ultra game. So, wanted to show off that a little bit there. Next list here. Twilight Rose Knight. So Twilight Rose Knight is another concept where this is a non-hidden armory based build. So we can obviously play cards like Cyber Valley and stuff. Like you're seeing Cyber Valley in a lot of these lists. It just makes sense with these given lists, but obviously you could, change and adjust these concepts at will. Twilight Rose Knight, what this card does is when you can normal summon a special summon level 4 or lower plant monster from your hand. The idea here is that you get to either Lone Fire or Tornado or if you summon Lone Fire, you get out Tomato, go into the Power Tool Dragon, and you start searching your deck with Mark of the Rose, DDR, your DDRs, and all that stuff. The crazy thing about this list is that you are playing a lot more equipped spells, a lot more equipped spells. So the ceiling on it is definitely higher. The control portions of it are also pretty good too. So we're playing its aliens, which I think are going to reveal themselves in 2025. Aliens are going to descend from the sky. There's drones in my area of New York and New Jersey. This shit is going to happen. It's going down. It's going down. The other thing I wanted to talk about here is that Gorse is also in the main deck. I talk shit about this card a lot, and the reason why is because it really is never live. It really isn't. What makes scores, I think, like tolerable in this deck is that you're also playing Allure of Darkness. So you go Allure of Darkness away the Gourds and then DDR back said Gourds and you have a 2700 attacker. Then you can at least grab off DDR, which is a decently high valued monster. So he goes to use the alien thing to pop the back row, and then he has the Icarus attack for reptiles, which is pretty crazy. 1-for-1, dandy. We love to see it. We were able to play through the back row, get ourselves a Cyber Valley. We could draw a whole ton of cards here. And we draw nicely. So we go Twilight Rose Knight, Special Summon Tomato. We'll go Power Tool Dragon here. Power Tool is going to allow us to search our deck for Mark of the Rose, which is nice because if he doesn't take care of the Power Tool, we're able to do the same thing again next turn. So we're able to either get DDR or Marco Rose next turn. And we have a nice little train going because we have a card in the banish pile that we could get back with DDR, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really cool. But these alien bozos are not cool, man. So he has Prohibition in his hand, which is so goddamn hilarious. He knows that I've Mark of the Rose, but we'll be able to clear everything up here. So watch out, boys. Watch out. He doesn't clear anything because he wants to just like pop cards with Golgarth. Golgarth is like the best card that the alien deck has to offer. It's really unfortunate that like the cards are typically like not so good, but what are you gonna do? We able to drop Gores right here and right now, which is really, really nice. We also have Card Trooper 2 to mill out our deck. Amaryllis hits the graveyard. Very nice. Gores attacks in. He flips the planet pollution virus. So if monsters do not have A counters on him, it destroys all of them, and then he gets to check my draws every single turn. So pretty broken, pretty broken. But what we have here is that we're able to mark DDR back to Cyber Valley, and then draw a bunch of cards through that. We do hit Lone Fire, which is a very nice draw. So, and we do have Amaryllis for defense. Not in a bad, not in a bad spot here. He summons his 1800 vanilla legend alien dude and attacks, takes 800, draw DDR, which is really good here because we're able to cycle out the lone fires and then get things going there. You also want two Amaryllis in this deck because the deck is not heavily focused on Amaryllis. It's just a supplement. The main focus is what's it called? Is Twilight Rose Knight, Power Tool Dragon, just powering through the deck essentially. That's the whole point of it. But Mirror Force is going to take care of that board. Get another DDR. We don't care. We can just DDR again next turn. So Lone Fire, get out Titanium, and that's the end of the game. Awesome. So next list here is the Cyber Valley Amaryllis list that just topped the RBET. I'm sure everyone has seen this list already. It's I think it's the least powerful of the decks that I'm showing here, even though this list did top. I'm just not a fan of us like cutting DDR is just like so fucking bad though. It's like what are you doing, dude? Um, but anyway, this is the way that it is, right? So, but again, I wanted to showcase this deck because it technically is a viable strategy because it did top. It is a, my opinions don't matter on the subject anymore. But I want to show a little bit of how the deck works. As you see here, it relies like really heavily off Dandelion and Cyber Valley, and it gets its advantage from taking the monsters, attacking with them, and then like banishing off a Valley or tributing them for Titanium or Amaryllis or what have you. So it doesn't play the hidden armories. It's a bit of a shocker. I think that card is like way too important. You just need to search for the equip spells that you do need at the time because if we were able to get DDR into our hand here, we would have been drawing a ton more cards here. Um, the cool thing here is that we do have Card Trooper that we could take. So we could send a couple of cards, attack with it, and then we could tribute off for Titanium. So it's nice. Um, but yeah, as you see, it's a very much more of a slow rolly kind of deck. Um, it's honestly a lot of this is best case scenario. One of the issues I also see here with this deck is that you do have conflicting draws. So like sometimes you just open too many of the steely cards, and not enough of like the non-steely cards. So T-Roy's here, which is fine, but we do have Cyber Valley to take care of the monster. Draw two cards. Draw. We hit the third Valley. We're waiting for him to set this Raikou in his hand. We smell it coming. So we're able to absolutely brutalize him there. We draw Gores. It's not a bad card. Flip over, deal with it. Mill three. I like at least how the Raikou is in this deck because and we summon an attack because that puts him down to puts him low. He's down to like 44 at least at this point. But I like at least that the Raikou's in this version of the deck. I think if you're playing Mind Control, you have to put Raikou in your deck. Um, and people are really soured on Raikou in general recently. I'm not really too sure why. I get that it's like a DDV target, but I think one of the strengths that come with the deck is that you do have like or have it. One, you have even Mind Control Hamster, you're just getting so much value. And number two, if you set up first turn, you can also play it into back row really nicely. Card's really nice. It mills three. It does what it's supposed to do. Draw trade in with the shit cores that we have in hand. That's okay. We go in, we punch in for, and he's dropping down to 18. So if he has Judgment Dragon, which he should be seeing, hence plopping, um, this is where we're able to at least like drop the gores here just so he could burn off the JD pay. He needs to do it anywhere, else he's going to mill out his deck. So he gets himself down to 800, the magic number. And we just need to see the one of two Amaryllises in this deck. But we do have brain control. So brain, take, JD, blow up, game. Okay. Next list. Da-da-da-da is the quick draw Amaryllis list that got second at the last RBET before rulers. This is that 100s list. So people should be pretty familiar with what this list is already. More focusing on the quick draw portion of the deck than actually the discard traps. So again, have a match that kind of shows off the quick draw stuff. People swear by the quick draw stuff. I think it plays harder into like literally everything. So the issue with quick draw is one, it gets hit by DDV harder, makes your deck more susceptible to DDV. Number two, it makes um your what's it called? You lose harder to oppression because oppression just rocks quick draw. And number like three, you don't if you don't have cards already in your graveyard, like it's relatively low value. Like it's just sitting here you're sitting here scratching your nuts a little bit. Obviously, we're playing against like this bullshit ass relinquish deck, but that's okay. Like that's it's part of getting these one games in just to show a little bit of what the deck's able to do. You also had Snipe Hunter in this list too. I don't like Snipe Hunter whatsoever. It's a fine card in Amaryllis. I think you need to play tomatoes so you can like fetch it. Because like one of the coolest, and I'll show you in a later list that does play. Snipe Hunter, you're able to like crash tomato, get Snipe Hunter, and if your hand is like full of dead level 8 monsters, you just chuck your whole hand, blow up their whole board, and then you at least can start rolling. That's the benefit between Snipe Hunter, but I think for like a list like this, I don't quite see the value. I don't quite see the value. The other added value, I guess, like to mention is that if Drill Warrior like remains banished because like I guess you paid with your opponent paid with oppression earlier, or they negated it, or just like is there, you can always DDR it back and then banish it, and then you have the engine rolling once again. Our friend over here makes Iron Chain into Amaryllis, which is that's scary, man. It's scary. These dueling book players are scaring me. But we were able to hit Lone Fire, which is really nice. So we're able to pop off with this fertilizer. So what we do, we're going to mark, take the relinquished. Relinquish is going to steal the Iron Chain, Hidden Armory, discard, DDR, and this should be lethal here. We discard that, get back Lone Fire. Then we piss out a bunch more Lone Fires and Titanials, and then we just attack for lethal. Okay, so it took us a little while, but it seemed like a standard quick draw deck. So now, up to some of more spicier lists in my arsenal. This is the Neo-spacian Amaryllis list that I've been working on a little bit recently. This version of the list is quite powerful. I do like it a lot. Even though I am not a fan of like multiple draw engines within the deck, the draw engines actually kind of coincide with one another. The cool thing is that you do have Tomato, which is a plant that you do play the fuel Amaryllis, but could also get Armageddon Knight, which could just ditch Cross Porter, which could get any one of these Neo-spacians to your hand. Other added benefit, Glow Moss is a plant monster. So if you convert contact, discard the Glow Moss, send another Glow Moss, you're able to put two plants in graveyard to fuel Amaryllis. So that's the other cool thing here too, is that you do have this little mini utility toolbox engine that also kind of like works with your deck in mysterious way. You play a whole ton of draw power, card destruction, allure, convert contact, trade in. 46 cards, so you're not working on like these shitty level 8 monsters or these shitty Neo-spacian monsters. The other added benefit I would say is that you could also search just like Grandma out of pocket. Grandma is pretty solid post board, especially when they're putting in Dyna, because they're going to set Dyna to beat you, and this deck traditionally does not have a way to beat Fossil Dyna. But the cool thing here is that you're able to, at least if you have Titanium established and they set Dyna, you could just put like Grandma on the board and just like control the board from there. Other cool part is Aqua Dolphin. So Aqua Dolphin has his effects. that and it was used in Modern not too long ago, where you're able to discard a card out of your hand and then destroy a monster in their hand with less attack than the greatest attack on your board. So if you have Titanium in hand, it's monsters less than 2,800. And what makes that crazy is that you can get Gores out of the hand before you make a direct attack. It also does some burn damage too in between, but that's just like the fun version, right? We do play Tragodia in this list. I think it's really balanced. It's really solid. Um, these cards we're all gonna attack in here. And then we're going to banish the other Glow Moss, get Amaryllis live in rotation. You're going to find yourself, one of the things that makes this list different than the other Amaryllis lists is that you don't really have to think about, um, what's it called? You don't have to think about banishing for Amaryllis as much. I mean, sometimes you do play the Chaos Sorcerer too, because you just put lights and darks in your graveyard with the greatest of ease. So you got to think about Glow Moss in that regard sometimes. But again, Fertilizer still in this list, still super oppressive, tacking in, doing some nice damage here. We're down to 28, so one shot with Titanium does it. We don't care about this. And again, he's going to try to like dupe block us too. But we did keep this junk synchron here literally the entire time, which is really, really funny. I guess it's just like the way that it worked out. But I believe next turn we're gonna try to like Brio from what I remember from this match or from this game. I don't know. Let's see. And he has three dupe frogs. Mad lad. Mad lad. Oh yeah, Tragodia, right? So then we could pitch both cards out of hand, bounce both dupe frogs, attempt to attack in. We eat Fader. Fader's not great, but we do have Mirror Force back here, and Amaryllis is still rolling. So one of the downsides of Convert Contact is that you can't control any monsters when you do activate that card. So you kind of have to activate before you like Lone Fire thin your deck or stuff like that. Um, but overall, still like still like a pretty super powerful strat right there for sure. Cluster, take eight, Pastoral, Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight's also able to put Plague Spreader in the graveyard, which is a nice little addition that we could also get off of Tomato. We also end up still winning this match too. I mean, this game too. So, sit back and relax. We're going to show you some magic here. So Gores, he Goyos attacks over Armor Knight. He bins the Gores out of his deck, so he doesn't draw that piece of shit, which I don't blame him. Goiling over an Armageddon Knight always feels the best. It always feels so good, especially in Amaryllis. Like I usually bin like Necrogardener or something like that. Mark of the Rose, nope, even worse. Tomato, how about that? And Tomato's crazy here, especially if he doesn't have a Monarch, because I put him on not having a Monarch, um, because this is how I'm able to at least get one more plants in the graveyard, and number two, get Sangan, which is going to route us right to Lone Fire, which is really nice. Really, really nice. Especially since the Plague earlier. Gift that keeps on giving. We draw Convert Contact, doesn't do anything. We're going to top deck for Plague, make Catastor effect search, Sangan effect search Lone Fire, and then we're going to Lone Fire and go nuts. Boom, boom, Titanial. And this is where we're able to clear the Goyo, clear the Ryza, and then bring back Amaryllis right in defense. The more Amaryllis that you have in your graveyard with this deck, like the more you're able to like just revive. You just have so much fuel, so much like fuel, and the deck's efficient too. 45 cards is just there just to make sure you don't brick on like the other shitty Neo-spacian cards and what have you. Um, so we tribute obviously to negate the soul exchange. Um, but and then we see Dandelion and we just feel amazing because we know that no amount of targeting is going to stop us from taking the crown. And the last list I wanted to show you was at least I think my version of Amaryllis Theft, or a version of it, is playing with the teleport package opposed to the Cyber Valley package. And there's really main two reasons for it. One, we can play Allure, so we can also play Gores, so we can banish these cards, get more draws, which is really nice. We also play E-Telly, and E-Telly is a little bit better than 1-for-1 because you don't have to discard a monster to activate this card. So that's like a really nice addition. This list is it might honestly be my favorite per se. But we gotta redo that, and we don't edit these videos, boys, especially the ones that are on the computer, the dueling book ones. But that also plays Dark Arm too, because we could crash into three tomatoes, get that alive onto the board. That is alive a lot. Um, and then yeah, so moving over to the actual game now. Um, yeah, this list is a lot of fun here. Our friend too is also playing 45 cards in this like bananas Lightsworn deck. But I know I shat on Snipe Hunter earlier, but it makes sense in this list because you could actually get it over with Tomato. So he special summons Sidra and it normal summons Lila. Lila is able to successfully break the back row. That's fine. Tomato gets in for Plague Spreader, which is really nice there. And then we set two pass. Um, so we do a couple things here. I think we might control this, and then we attempt to Black Rose them. Kaboom. It turns out that he has Needlebug and T-Roar, which is fine. Wolf comes out after it's resolved, so Black Rose will not be able to catch it, unfortunately, but that's okay. Our friend here summons Arcus. We sang in, get out Dandelion, so that's all nice. I forgot why. I think it's because we wanted to do a synchro play with the E-Telly. Um, so we teleport out the Craybons, and then we normal summon out Dandy, get into Cataster. Yeah, I think the also the ability to synchro summon too is just like super high, more high impact than being able to draw cards through Cyber Valley, because you're always able to establish like a decently sized monster that they have to deal with. And also Crabons does have a stat line, and it also allows you to stall a little bit so you could get into your plays later on into the deck, which is really nice there. Our friend here, he goes Brio. Brio gets rid of Cataster. Who gives a fuck? But we have the Snipe Hunter in hand that's able to deal with the Brio, which is really nice there. But we also picked up this Mark of the Rose, which is going to be even better for us because we're also going to set up return nicely too. So we're going to summon the Craybons, Synchro summon into the Stardust Dragon, and then we're able to put return down pass. Special summon Sidra, top deck for Plague, makes AFD here. And then after that, we have the Snipe Hunter that outed, so we're going to discard the Craybons, and we're going to hit the magic number and pass our turn. Then we draw Celestia, and then we try again, and you know, trying again. And that's just a 4. Monster destroyed, 4,000 direct damage into the life points right there. And then after that, he has to contest this, and he can't because we're going to set that back row and. He could call here, but we probably should have also Snipe Hunter discarded this foolish, just so we see if we could go for game. But he was also playing T-Roar too. So this man's trying to. This is not back to the front. This is called the Haunted Boys. Come on, and that's it. So, what did you guys think about the deck list that came about today? I hope everyone enjoyed this type of content. It's a little bit different from what I usually do. I usually do one video per deck, but I wanted to kick off the new year strong because I wanted to give you 7 Amaryllis ideas that you could play around with in 2025 with and spank people with. So please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if there's any suggestions you want to make to any of these lists, any different types of Amaryllis decks that I should watch, or should I do another video like this again? Because I could give you 7 more deck lists that I think are solid. Peace. Have a great day. Stay safe, y'all.